Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are going to try and break your reality.
Just a little bit.
Or at least we're going to be looking at a text that tries very, very hard to convince you that your reality is already broken, or maybe that it was never really solid to begin with.
That's a better way to put it. We're looking at a pretty heavy stack of documents today, all centered on the Yoga Vasishta.
Specifically Book 3, which is known as the Utpatti Khanda, the Book of Creation.
It is a heavy stack today.
Mm-hmm.
And breaking reality is not too strong a phrase. I mean, this is a text that challenges the single most fundamental assumption we have as human beings.
Which is?
That there's a physical world out there that is separate from the mind in here.
Right, and it starts with this hook that feels incredibly modern. It's almost like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's thousands of years old. The text opens with this really provocative question from the sage, Vasishta.
He just lays it right out there.
He basically asks, how do you know right now, sitting here listening to this, that you aren't just dreaming?
It's a classic philosophical problem, isn't it? But we usually have a quick answer. We say, well, I can pinch myself, it hurts, so I'm awake.
The common sense response.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Vasishta, who's the sage teaching Prince Rama in this text, he just completely doubles down on that. He argues that the universe, time, space, all of it, are purely creations of the mind.
And he says the only difference between what we call a dream and what we call waking life is duration.
Just duration. That's it.
So a dream is just a short life, and life is just a very, very long dream.
Precisely. He suggests that if a dream were steady and lasted for 80 years, you'd call it reality. You would have a mortgage in your dream, a job, a history. There'd be no reason to doubt it.
And on the flip side, if this waking life of ours was unstable and only lasted 5 minutes, we'd dismiss it as a dream.
Of course. The mechanism, the mind, creating a world, is exactly the same in both states. That's his core argument.
And that really is the mission for this deep dive, isn't it? We are going to unpack Vasishta's radical argument that the material world is non-existent.
He literally calls it an optical illusion of consciousness.
It's not just dry philosophy either. That's what's so great about this source material. It's packed with these mind-bending stories. I mean, we're talking about astral travel, multiverse theory, even something that feels like Star Wars.
All to prove his point. It's a fascinating mix of, on the one hand, rigorous logic, and on the other, just wild, imaginative storytelling. He's not just saying, trust me, the world is fake. He's trying to prove it through these elaborate thought experiments.
Okay, so let's jump into the first part of that, section 1. The philosophy of this unreal world. Vasishta throws a lot of metaphors at Rama to try and explain how something can look real but not be real.
He has to. He does, and he uses these core metaphors repeatedly because our minds really struggle to grasp this concept. We're so attached to the idea of stuff, of matter.
So what's the first big one?
The first, and maybe the most famous, is the gold in the bracelet.
Okay, the gold in the bracelet. Let's unpack this.
All right, so imagine you have a gold bracelet. You look at it, you wear it, you call it a bracelet. You might even get it insured as a bracelet.
Sure, it's a bracelet.
But if you take that bracelet and you melt it down into a lump, what happens to the bracelet? It's gone.
Right.
What remains?
Just the gold.
Right, the bracelet was just a name and a form. It never had an independent existence apart from the gold. It was just gold behaving like a circle for a while.
I see where this is going.
Vasishta argues that the entire world is the bracelet. It's just a name and a form that we've given to the underlying reality, which he calls Brahma, or pure consciousness. We see mountains, rivers, cities.
But it's all just the gold of consciousness taking on different shapes.
Exactly. So saying the world exists is, from his point of view, like saying the bracelet exists separately from the gold. It's a linguistic trick we play on ourselves.
A confusion of form with substance.
Precisely. And he has another one, the mirage. You're in a desert. You're hot. You're thirsty. Up ahead, you see a shimmering lake. It has waves. It looks completely real. You might even feel a sense of relief just looking at it.
What if you run towards it?
You find nothing but hot sand. The water was never there. It was an appearance created by heat and light. Vasishta says the material world is the water in that mirage. Upon investigation, which for him means deep meditation and philosophical inquiry, no matter is found.
Only the desert of consciousness remains.
Yes.
That's a bit of a terrifying thought, isn't it? That if you look closely enough at, the wall in front of you or another person, the physicality of it all just dissolves into nothing.
It is terrifying to the ego, which absolutely needs to be real and solid.
Yeah.
But Vasishta has a third metaphor, and this one I find is his most logically aggressive.
Okay.
He talks constantly about the son of a barren woman.
I saw that phrase popping up over and over again in the notes. The son of a barren woman. It sounds like a riddle.
It's a statement of logical impossibility. A barren woman, by definition, cannot have a son. So if someone runs up to you and says, hey, I just saw the son of a barren woman riding a golden chariot, you know immediately it's a lie.
Or a hallucination. It physically cannot happen.
It is a contradiction in terms. And Vasishta applies this exact logic to the creation of the world.
How does that work?
This is his sort of slam dunk argument against the idea of a physical creation. He argues that you cannot create something material out of something immaterial. If the ultimate reality, Brahma, is formless, pure, empty consciousness,
How can it give birth to solid matter?
it's a logical contradiction. You can't get something from nothing. It's like trying to get darkness from a lamp.
So for Vasishta, even talking about the creation of the world is like talking about the son of a barren woman.
Yes, it's discussing a non-event. The world wasn't created in a physical sense. It was and is being imagined.
That is a hard pivot from how we usually think about cosmology, the Big Bang or Genesis. The standard model is first there was nothing, then there was stuff. He's saying there's still nothing, just a lot of imagining.
Correct. And he explains how this happens through the nature of the mind. He says the creator, Brahma, isn't some guy with a beard building things in 6 days. Brahma is the collective mind, or the universal will.
The notes mention the expansion of ego here as the key mechanism.
Yes, this is how the illusion becomes so convincing. He says the individual soul, what he calls the jiva, forgets its infinite nature. It forgets it's the gold. It starts identifying with a specific form, the bracelet, in our case, the body.
And this identification solidifies thoughts into what appears to be a physical world.
Exactly. He uses a wonderful analogy for this, the seed.
The seed analogy, this one felt a bit more organic to me.
It is. He says the entire visible universe exists inside the mind, just as a massive banyan tree exists, potentially, inside one tiny seed.
If you cut the seed open, you're not going to find a tiny tree.
No, you'll just find pulp. But the potential, the blueprint, for the trunk, the leaves, the roots, the entire massive structure, it's all vibrating in there, waiting for the right conditions to unfold.
So the tree is the world and the seed is the mind.
Precisely. And just as the seed doesn't look anything like the tree, the mind doesn't look like the world, but everything is packed in there, just waiting to be projected.
Okay, so to prove this point that the mind is powerful enough to create a reality that can even defy death, Vasishta tells a story in section 2 that is, honestly, it's kind of metal.
It is.
The story of the airborne brahmin, Akasaja.
This is a great story because it tackles the one thing that feels the most real and unavoidable to us, death. Vasishta tells Rama about this brahmin named Akasaja, but Akasaja isn't born from parents in the normal way.
He's born of empty air.
Right. He's a manifestation of pure mind, a being of pure thought.
Like a thought form, what some traditions might call a tulpa.
Essentially, yes. And he's not outliving a normal life. He just sits in constant meditation. He has no desires, no worldly connections, no history. He's just there, existing in this purely mental space.
And then death shows up.
Death personified.
Yeah.
The text describes him as this cosmic force that consumes everything.
So the Grim Reaper comes calling.
Yes. And death thinks, my job is to devour all things. I'm going to eat this Brahmin. So he tries to bite him, or grab him, or consume him.
Yeah.
He can't. The text says death's teeth are as blunt as if biting a rock. He can't touch Akasaja. He tries to enter Akasaja's house, and he's blocked by a wall of fire as hot as the one that ends the universe.
So death gets completely shut out. That has to be embarrassing for death.
It is. Death is totally confused. He has never failed before. So like a frustrated middle manager, he goes to his boss.
Yama, the Lord of Death.
He goes to Yama to file a complaint. He asks, why am I powerless against this guy? I am death. I end things. That's my function.
And what's the verdict from on high?
Yama explains the rules of the game. And this is crucial for understanding the text's entire view on karma and mortality. Yama says, death, do not trust in your own strength. You don't kill people. Their karma kills them.
Whoa, okay, that's a twist. So death is just the delivery guy.
He's the janitor. He just cleans up after the fact. Yama explains that death can only grab someone who believes they are mortal and, critically, who has acts or karma to account for. You need a handle for death to grab onto.
And that handle is your attachment to your actions and your body.
Your story, your history, your belief that you are this person, this body, this collection of deeds.
Akasaja has no handle.
Not at all, because he was born of air of pure mind. He has no prior acts, he has no history, he has no cause that led to his effect. He doesn't believe he's a body, he knows he's just space.
So Yama basically tells Death, you can't bite the air.
You can't kill someone who was like the sky. That's the line. You can't destroy something that was never really solid in the first place.
So the key takeaway here is that the soul is imperishable by nature, but we only die because we think we are physical. We buy into the illusion so hard that it becomes fatal.
Yes. If you can realize you are air consciousness, you cannot be destroyed. Death is only possible for those who believe in their own physicality. Akasaja is Vasishta's proof of concept. He's saying, look, if you don't buy into the illusion, the rules of the illusion can't hurt you.
Okay, so that's the theory, the abstract proof. But Vasishta knows we need something more relatable. You know, we aren't airborne Brahmins, we have families, we have jobs, we have anxieties.
We're deeply invested in the dream.
Right. And this brings us to section 3, the tale of Leela and Padma. This story takes up a huge chunk of the text, and it is a wild, wild ride.
It really is. It's an epic. It's a story about love, grief, and ultimately the multiverse.
So it starts with King Padma and Queen Leela, and they are, by all accounts, the perfect couple.
Absolutely devoted, deeply in love, living this life of incredible luxury and happiness. But Leela has this one, gnawing anxiety.
Very relatable.
She looks at her husband, whom she adores, and thinks, one day he's going to die, and I simply cannot handle that. The thought of losing him is unbearable. So she decides to try and hack the system.
How does she do that?
She performs these severe austerities, intense spiritual practices, to please the goddess Saraswati, who's the goddess of wisdom. She wants to get an audience of a cosmic power to make a deal.
And Saraswati shows up. Leela gets to ask for 2 boons, 2 wishes. What are they?
Her first wish is that when her husband dies, his soul, his conscious essence, never leaves the palace room where he dies. She wants to keep him contained in their shrine.
She wants to keep him close.
The second wish is that she can see the goddess Saraswati whenever she prays for her. She wants a direct line, a hotline to wisdom.
Smart. Keep the husband's soul in the room and keep the cosmic guide on speed dial.
It's a good plan. And Saraswati grants both boons. So inevitably years pass and King Padma dies. It's tragic. Leela is absolutely crushed. She covers his body in flowers in the shrine, just as she had planned.
She's grieving, but then she calls her cosmic guide.
Yes, and Saraswati appears and drops a bombshell. She tells a grief-stricken Leela, the king's alive. He's just in a different space.
And here's where it starts to get really interesting. This is the first astral trip.
Right. Saraswati tells Leela to close her eyes and enter samadhi, a state of deep meditation. Leela effectively leaves her physical body. She travels out of the ordinary sense world, and she finds her husband.
But he's not a ghost floating in the room, right?
Not at all. He is a king again. He's now a different king, named King Bidharatha. He's older. He's ruling a massive new territory. He has courtiers, vast armies. All these diverse tribes are subject to him.
And the really weird part is that his new courtiers, his new court, they all look exactly like the old ones from his previous life.
Identical. But they don't see Leela. She's invisible to them, an observer from another dimension.
So wait, the big question is, where is this kingdom? Is it on another planet? Is it across the ocean?
That's the twist. That's the core of Vasishta's point. This entirely new world with its own mountains, rivers, millions of people. It exists inside the physical space of the palace shrine where his dead body is lying.
It's a dimension within a dimension.
Vasishta calls it the Chidakasha, the space of consciousness. He's hammering home the point that physical space is an illusion. You can fit an infinite universe inside a mustard seed if that universe is made of mind stuff.
Just like you can fit an entire detailed world inside your head when you dream at night.
It's the exact same principle, just on a grander scale.
So Leela is obviously completely bewildered. She comes back to her body in the shrine and asks Saraswati the obvious question.
The practical question.
Right. He only died 8 days ago in my world. But in that world, he's been ruling for years. He's an old man. How does the math work?
And this is where Vasishta gives us his theory of relativity, thousands of years before Einstein. Saraswati explains that time is entirely relative to the observer and their state of consciousness.
Like when you hit the snooze button, you sleep for 5 minutes, but you have a dream that feels like it takes hours.
Exactly that. A moment in one state, like our waking state, can be an entire age in another, like a dream or an afterlife, and vice versa.
So how does he have a whole history in that new world? Did he live through childhood there?
This is another mind-bending part. Saraswati explains that memory creates the continuity of life. The soul of King Padma immediately manifested a new life based on his last thoughts and desires before death. Because he was a king, his last strong desire was to continue being a king.
So he just projected a world where he was a king, complete with a backstory.
An instant backstory. He didn't actually live those years as King Vidaratha, but his memory tells him he did. His courtiers' memories tell them he did, so it's completely real to him.
That's a staggering concept. That our entire past, our memories might just be a mental construct created this instant to support our present identity.
It pulls the rug out from under the idea of a linear, objective past.
But Leela isn't satisfied with just seeing this new world. She wants to understand more. So Saraswati takes her on a second trip, and this is section 4, the origin story. This is where the whole narrative just folds in on itself, like origami.
Total recursion. Saraswati says, in essence, you think that life as King Padma was your origin. Let me show you where you really came from. They don't go forward in time, they go back or maybe sideways in the multiverse.
And they travel to this humble, mountainous village very far away from the splendor of the palace.
It's a complete contrast. They see a simple Brahmin priest, and confusingly, the text says his name is also Vasishta, but it's a different person from the narrator.
Okay, so a different Vasishta, and he has a wife, Arundhati. They live in a small hut. They're poor, but pious and happy.
And Leela and Saraswati watch a key moment in this Brahmin's life. One day, he sees the local king out hunting with his whole entourage. He sees the elephants, the silk, the gold, the power.
And he has a thought.
A powerful thought of desire. He thinks, man, I wish I was a king. Look at that life. And that desire, that single powerful wish, lodges itself deep in his mind.
So when he eventually dies...
that desire manifests as his next reality. He becomes King Padma.
So let me just get this timeline straight in my head. There's a humble Brahmin who dreams of being a king. He dies, and his consciousness creates the reality of being King Padma.
Correct.
King Padma lives a whole luxurious life with Queen Leela, dies, and his consciousness then creates the reality of being King Vidaratha, who is now fighting a war.
Yes, that's the chain.
And then comes the identity shock, the big reveal for Leela.
Saraswati turns to Leela and tells her, you are the reincarnation of the Brahmin's wife, Arundhati. Queen Leela is that humble Brahmin woman from the hut, and King Padma is the Brahmin.
That is a gut punch.
It is. Leela has this profound realization that her entire royal life, the life she thought was her one true real life, is actually just the dream of a poor mountain priest. Everything she thought was solid is just the echo of a dead man's wish.
And this leads to what the text calls the aha moment, the coexistence of worlds.
Yes, this is the crucial cosmological point Vasishta is making through this story. Saraswati explains that the humble Brahmin's hut, King Padma's grand palace, and King Vidaratha's sprawling kingdom are all occupying the exact same physical space.
They're superimposed on each other.
Superimposed, like different radio stations broadcasting in the same air. They're all right here in the space of the shrine, but they are separated by frequency or by their plane of consciousness.
So you don't need a spaceship to travel between them.
You don't need to move at all. You just need to tune your mind to the right frequency. The text uses the analogy of a castle built in the air or a city seen in a dream. They have no physical displacement in the real world.
That is just mind-blowing. It implies that right now, in this very room, there could be an infinite number of other worlds playing out, and we just can't see them because our consciousness isn't tuned to their frequency.
That is exactly what Vasishta is teaching Rama. He's saying that space isn't an empty container that holds things. Space itself is a projection of the mind. So multiple minds can project multiple spaces in the same location.
So Leela and Saraswati are hopping between these layers of reality, and they decide to go back into the world of King Vidaratha, that third layer, to see what's happening. This brings us to section 5, the Great War. And wow, the tone shifts here dramatically. We go from this very high-minded philosophical dialogue straight into a bloodbath.
It really does. King Vidaratha, who we have to remember is the soul of the dead King Padma, who's the soul of the dead Brahmin, is under attack. His kingdom is being invaded, and a massive war is taking place. The text does not hold back on the descriptions at all.
No, it does not. I've got the notes here. It describes the sky becoming a sea of blood from all the dust and gore. Weapons clash and create so much fire that it looks like lightning storms.
This gets even more graphic. It talks about headless trunks still moving about the battlefield, their limbs still fighting out of pure momentum and rage. It's incredibly gruesome.
And there's this supernatural element, too. Demons and celestial nymphs, the apsaras, are apparently watching from above, and vultures are circling. It's this whole cosmic spectacle.
And the scale of it. The text makes a point of listing all the diverse armies involved, like tribes from all over the subcontinent, people with faces like tigers, one-legged people, fish eaters, people from the high Himalayas down to the Deccan Plateau.
It's like a scene from The Lord of the Rings or the Mahabharata.
It is. Vasishta wants us to understand the complexity and richness of the mind's creation. This isn't some vague, blurry dream. It's a high-definition, fully immersive CGI blockbuster. It has geography, politics, distinct cultures. He's saying the illusion is perfectly rendered.
So Leela is watching all this. She's seeing her husband, Viduratha, fighting for his life in the middle of this carnage.
And here comes the philosophical irony of the whole situation. Leela is horrified. She sees the blood, she hears the deafening screams of the dying. It feels completely real to her. But Saraswati leans over and points out the profound absurdity of it all.
What does she say?
She says, this entire blood-soaked, deafening war, all of this chaos, is happening inside the quiet, empty space of the shrine where the king's corpse lies peacefully.
It's all an illusion. A dream happening in a silent room.
It is an illusion of the mind, yet it feels absolutely 100% real to the combatants. They are bleeding, they are dying, they are feeling terror and pain. Their reality is just as valid to them as ours is to us.
The text makes a quick diversion here to talk about the definition of a hero, doesn't it?
It does. It's a very interesting point about morality within the illusion. Vasishta distinguishes between a hero and an insurgent. He says a hero is one who fights for law, for the king, or to protect the innocent. If they die in that cause, their soul goes to a heavenly realm.
But an insurgent who fights for unlawful gain or greed.
If they die, they go to a hellish realm. It's Vasishta's way of saying that even within the dream, your intent matters. Your actions within the illusion still have consequences for the dreamer's next dream. Your karma follows you from one mental projection to the next.
So the war is raging. It's this epic, brutal conflict. But Leela and Saraswati decide to zoom out. Way, way out. And this brings us to section 6, the cosmic voyage.
This is one of the most beautiful and awe-inspiring passages in the entire text. They decide to leave the surface of this dream earth altogether. They just fly straight upward.
What do they see as they ascend?
First, they get this amazing view of the planet. They see the earth shaped like a great lotus flower. The continents are the petals, and the mythical Mount Meru at the center of the world is the seed pod at its heart. It's a very poetic vision of geography.
The deep space part of their journey felt very modern, almost sci-fi to me.
It really is. The text describes them passing the orbit of the moon, then the sun, then the pole star. They encounter regions of deep, absolute darkness. And then they reach what the text calls the shell of the universe.
A shell.
In this ancient cosmology, the universe is enclosed in a series of concentric layers, a layer of water, then fire, then air, then a final vacuum. They had to literally punch through these cosmic layers to get outside.
And what do they find when they get outside their own universe?
They enter the infinite, formless void of pure consciousness. And here, floating in this void, they see the multiverse.
The bubble analogy.
Exactly. They see millions upon millions of other universes, each one floating like a speck of dust in a sunbeam or a bubble in the ocean. The text has this incredible description of some bubbles rising. Those are universes being created. Some are falling. Those are being destroyed. Some are dark and inert. Some are blazing with light.
That really puts King Viduratha's little war in perspective.
Completely. It becomes an insignificant flicker in an infinite ocean of creation. And Vasishta makes a very sophisticated point here about up and down. He says that in this infinite space, there is no up or down. It is entirely relative to the creature observing it.
He uses the analogy of ants on a ball.
Yes. The ants on the bottom of the ball think they're on top. The ants on the side think they're on top. Everyone's perspective is their own reality. It's a surprisingly sophisticated understanding of relative positioning in space for such an ancient text.
So we've seen the illusion, we've seen its nested layers, we've seen the multiverse. How does this all end for Leela? This is section 7, the resolution. She has seen it all now.
After this cosmic tour, Leela finally gets it. She reaches a state of enlightenment that the text calls Jivan Mukta.
Which means liberated while living. What does that actually look like in practice?
It's not about checking out or dying or floating away on a cloud. It's a fundamental change in perspective. She realizes the truth that her life as a queen, the Brahmin's humble hut, the horrific war, all of these experiences are equally real in that they are experienced, and equally unreal in that they are all mental projections.
She can see the matrix. She understands the code.
She gets it. She understands that a Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul, still participates in the world. They are in the waking state, but they maintain the inner detachment of deep sleep.
The text has that great paradoxical line. They are awake in their sleep and asleep in their waking.
Exactly. They act. They might even rule a kingdom or fight a battle, but they have no desperate desire for the fruit of the action. They know it's a game, a play of consciousness. They're acting a part, but they don't confuse the part with their true self.
Vasishta brings this home with one last analogy, the boy and the ghost.
Yes. He says that our belief is what makes things real for us. A boy who is terrified of ghosts and believes there's one in his closet will see the ghost. He will feel real fear. His heart will race. To him, the ghost is real.
And another example he uses is a man who is told he's been poisoned and believes it so strongly that he actually dies, even if he wasn't poisoned at all.
Exactly. The body follows the mind. Our reality conforms to our deepest convictions.
So the goal of all this teaching is to break that conviction, to stop believing in the ghost.
The goal is to use reason and meditation to dissolve the false belief in materiality. Just as you would turn on the light and show the boy, see, there is no ghost, it's just a coat rack. Vasishta is trying to turn on the light of inquiry and show Rama, see, there is no solid world, it's just consciousness.
And what's the final reunion for Leela and Padma?
Leela, now fully enlightened, understands she can choose her reality. She has the power, through Saraswati's grace, to bring the soul of the dead King Padma, the soul of the warrior King Viduratha, and the memory of the Brahmin all back together.
So the dead king, the warrior king, and the Brahmin are all recognized as the same person.
They merge. They realize they are all just facets of the same diamond, different chapters in the same consciousness's story, and they attain liberation together.
So let's try and wrap this all up. Let's get to our outro. We have unpacked a lot today. Gold bracelets, sons of barren women, wars happening inside silent bedrooms, infinite cosmic bubbles. What is the final synthesis here?
I think the main inescapable takeaway is that the world is not out there, it's in here. The text's stance is completely unambiguous. This visible world that you experience is a long dream.
Okay, so let's get to the so what. Why should you, our listener, who has to pay rent and sit in traffic and deal with a very solid-seeming world, care about any of this?
Because if reality is truly mind-made, then we are not helpless victims of circumstance. We are the weavers of our own dream. It's a radical form of empowerment. It suggests that if you can change your mind, you can literally change your world.
Okay, so that leads us to our final provocative thought. We talked about Leela traveling into the dream of her husband, a dream that was happening inside a small, quiet room, and finding it just as vast and real as her own world.
Yes.
So if Leela could do that, if she could look into his mind and see a universe, could someone or something from outside our reality be looking in on us right now?
And seeing our entire history, all our wars, our art, our love, our science, as nothing more than a fleeting thought in their own vaster mind.
It's the ultimate question. Are we the dreamers or are we the dream?
The text leaves that for you to figure out.
Until the next deep dive, keep dreaming.